think the best thing for people in Hollywood that are entrenched in that world is to shut the fuck up. Because as soon as they start talking, people as soon as Robert De Niro starts talking, I'm like, Jesus, get that fucking microphone away from him so I can enjoy Taxi Driver.
Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number 1 of Trump derangement syndrome. He's one of those, I'm moving to Canada if he wins, and he's never gonna leave the White House if he wins. We're gonna have Trump forevermore. I mean, hello, I hate to break it to you because I realize you're advanced age too, Robert, but people die. So he will leave. One way or the other, he's gonna go.
Robert De Niro thought he was walking into a soft political chat, more pillow fight than firefight. Instead, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly showed up armed with verbal flamethrowers. 1 minute, De Niro was monologuing like he was hosting the Oscars. The next, he was getting folded like hotel laundry on live TV. What did Rogan say that had Kelly wheezing with laughter? And why did De Niro look like he just realized Uber Eats doesn't deliver comebacks? This wasn't a debate, it was a demolition. You've never seen a Hollywood legend get roasted like this.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. I love De Niro. I love those mob movies. It's like
I don't want to hear him that he's a moron. I don't want to hear him talking about politics and about Trump supporters, and just shut the fuck up, man.
If Robert De Niro had $1 for every time he spiraled into a political meltdown, like a method actor trapped in an endless scene, he could probably buy a private island where no one ever utters a bad word about Trump. But instead, he chose the spotlight, award show podiums, passionately flailing his arms like a man who mistook the teleprompter for a sparring partner.
Like, you didn't think this through. Like, this is, and he's getting yelled at. He's doing an outside press conference. Like, Robert, you're 80 years old. Don't ruin this thing. You've had this life where you were a fucking raging bull. You know, you were in The Godfather. Like, stop doing this.
Man.
Don't do this.
I'm terrified to meet some of those people I looked up to now.
You should be.
I mean, like
I've met a few of them, and it's actors in particular, because their whole business is pretend. Their whole business is pretend.
Just when it felt like the world had run out of patience for another red-faced political tirade from a guy best known for playing fictional mobsters, 2 very different media heavyweights stepped into the ring, separately, and with absolutely no sympathy. First up was the podcast king himself, Joe Rogan, who strolled into the discourse like someone who'd accidentally wandered onto the set of a clumsy political drama and decided to rewrite the entire script using a sledgehammer.
To the people shouting him down like, your movies suck, that's not true.
No, his movies are very good.
Suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando, blah, blah, blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He's, he has, basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now? Because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent, and the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational again.
Yeah, cool off
and
a
De
little.
Niro needs to go in the blue tent. I mean, because it's not calming things down. We need to be rational.
While De Niro was busy delivering his one-man Shakespearean meltdown in front of golden statues and half-asleep celebrities, Rogan was comfortably posted up in his podcast fortress, lobbing sharp observations with surgical precision. He didn't name names, of course, but let's just say the shoe fit like it was handcrafted by a very bitter Italian cobbler.
Oh, Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Now, Kurt's convinced that Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and that he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him.
Of course Kurt thinks
That's
that.
what Kurt thinks that.
Kurt thinks that about every fucking thing that happens in the world.
I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men.
And
they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Told him that was a good idea?
And then he started...
Rogan didn't need to call out De Niro by name. He just painted a vivid picture of actors who mistake playing tough guys on screen for having real-world insight into geopolitics. According to Rogan, there's a certain kind of celebrity who thinks that delivering a few lines about honor and justice in a mob movie somehow qualifies them to lecture the public on foreign policy. You spend 30 years pretending to be someone named Vito, and suddenly you believe you're ready to school the electorate on democracy. That's like a barista explaining orbital mechanics to NASA because they once stirred a cappuccino with impressive precision. With his signature blend of laid-back sarcasm and razor-sharp commentary, Rogan dismantled this Hollywood delusion like a UFC knockout, brutal, efficient, and oddly entertaining. He mocked the self-importance of actors who genuinely believe fame equals fact and that a SAG card is a golden ticket to being taken seriously on global economics. It wasn't even about politics anymore. It was about ego, the kind of inflated self-regard that turns a red carpet regular into an unsolicited pundit. And while Rogan delivered it all in his usual style, half amused, half high, and fully unscripted, beneath the laughter was a scalpel-sharp takedown. No rage, just cold accuracy. Niro, though never named, may as well have been the episode's feature presentation. A cautionary tale of a once revered actor who traded gravitas for grievance and found out the hard way that not every monologue deserves applause.
Robert De Niro, who's got a severe case of the TDS, is in France right now, as all of the muckety-mucks are. And he's very unhappy about what Trump is doing to try to keep filmmaking, American filmmaking, in America by slapping tariffs on foreign-made films so that he can basically try to force people to make them domestically again for the American audience that they're meant to serve. And here's what De Niro said on Tuesday.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions.
And then came Megyn Kelly. Where Rogan was relaxed, sarcastic, and entertained by the absurdity of it all, Kelly brought the sharp, deliberate energy of someone who's been keeping receipts and is now flipping through them like an IRS auditor, on a mission. She didn't name Niro either, but let's be honest. When you say Hollywood loudmouth who confuses the Oscars with Capitol Hill, there's not much ambiguity left.
And then he starts yelling at regular people. He's like, fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you.
Like, it's crazy that that's the guy from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
You know what also I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony and you become a phony and everyone's a phony and your grasp on reality is very slippery and your eyes are going, right? Mm-hmm. So your vision of the world, your actual vision of the world, your ability to read a phone. You ever see old people's text messages? The fucking text on their phone is like as big as my hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so your vision of the world is blurring, literally and figuratively, and then you're getting old. And when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them and they don't have time to have a calm conversation. And you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion. Let's see where we have common ground. Get off my lawn!
It's a feedback loop of nonsense. A glamorous Groundhog Day where the same self-important speeches get delivered to the same self-congratulating crowd, met with the same hollow applause. And Megyn Kelly, never one to let a sacred cow roam. Free. Used the moment to deliver a precision strike on the hypocrisy at the heart of it all. She pulled back the velvet curtain on the fantasy that actors, living in gated estates protected by private security, somehow speak for the average voter. They sermonize about justice from behind Oscar-shaped podiums, then ride home in cars that cost more than most people's mortgages. If her takedown had a thesis, it was this: authenticity matters. People are tired of being lectured by millionaires who've spent the last 10 years in makeup chairs being told they're brilliant.
Make of that.
Well, it's a global problem because it's the greediness of these studios and some of these actors that, make a lot more money overseas than they would here. But I look at the film industry in the United States, and my father worked in the film industry in Boston. He was a transportation coordinator for the Teamsters Union. So I know a little bit about it. I look at the film industry as we have some of the most creative people in the world.
Joe Rogan finds it hilarious that actors take themselves so seriously. Megyn Kelly finds it horrifying. The tones couldn't be more different, but the takeaway is the same. Robert De Niro has gone from respected statesman to a caricature in a suit, and the punchline is, he doesn't even know it. That's the thing about these kinds of public roasts. They aren't meant to spark a debate. They're designed to spotlight the absurdity so clearly that no response is necessary. Rogan never needed De Niro to show up and argue. Kelly wasn't looking to host a discussion. They simply presented the facts, like two prosecutors who stumbled on the same crime scene and started riffing on the evidence. De Niro's entire act has shifted from dramatic gravitas to unintentional comedy, and the worst part? he hasn't noticed.
Why is he talking about this? Why is he talking about this publicly?
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
If you're going to come out and say that you have a really deep-seated hatred for one of the two people running for president, you can't just be, he's a bully, he's a piece of shit, I hate him.
He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has.
You probably, if you're going to express yourself about it and alienate 50% of the country, which it seems like it is, you're going to have to do better than that.
There's a certain delicious irony in watching a man who built his legacy playing gritty, grounded characters now floating several feet above reality. Robert De Niro, once the master of the brooding tough guy, now comes off like he's shouting in all caps on Twitter and calling it political activism. It's like watching a Michelin-starred chef slap a Kraft single on filet mignon and insist it's haute cuisine. And if there's one thing Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly agree on, quietly, from opposite ends of the media spectrum, it's this. The public deserves better than a tuxedo-clad meltdown. There's something undeniably sad about seeing someone with that much reach and cultural capital wasted on performative outrage, all while convincing themselves they're changing the world. Because the real changemakers aren't the ones turning award shows into campaign rallies. They're not the ones shouting into the void and mistaking the echo for applause. They're the people who know that influence without insight is just noise. And lately, De Niro's speeches have felt less like the voice of a generation and more like your Wi-Fi-enabled uncle yelling at the clouds. It's the unlikely crossover no one predicted. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, two people who probably couldn't agree on pizza toppings, somehow tuned to the same frequency like satellites locked in orbit around a fading star named Robert De Niro. On one side, you've got Rogan, a hoodie-wearing, cage-fighting philosopher.
At the garbage outside today, Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot and reminds us why Trump is so popular.
It's so stupid. It was colossally stupid. If you're going to send somebody to go speak outside of the Trump trial, make it someone who's universally beloved, like a Michelle Obama. You know, she's not universally loved. She's not loved on the right. But I'm saying, like, at least within the left and the center left, and maybe even some center righties. Robert De Niro has gone so hard partisan over the past 8 years. He is like example number one of Trump derangement.
It's what stares back when the spotlight fades. While Robert De Niro continues to rage in slow motion, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly quietly and hilariously dismantled the illusion.
De Niro, there's something about being a star where you think your opinion's more important than anybody else's, and you can go give a press conference, and he obviously has been very vocal from 2016 that he hates Trump for whatever reason. Maybe they have some personal thing.
You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way.
Now he's like holding press conferences. Now everyone's heckling him everywhere he goes.
That's so bad.
Like instead of just being this cranky old liberal, now you're this guy that is yelling at other people that are Trump supporters, and they're yelling at you. Like you've opened yourself up to this nonsense.